Good morning, everyone. Today is another episode of Arks Trash, which is a audio-only podcast. Now, I have prepared some B-roll for my visual listeners out there. However, before we jump into the podcast, I have a couple of announcements to make. The first announcement is today is Mother's Day, so you gotta do what you gotta do. Unless, of course, you live in the UK, which Mother's Day was back in March. But for everywhere else, I believe, today is Mother's Day. The second announcement I have for everyone is I am going to be taking a 3-day break. I will not be making any videos until the 11th, so basically patch day or the update then, and then I will continue with my daily uploads for then. But don't worry guys, it's not because I'm burnt out. I still enjoy playing PSO2 every single day. It's just that I've needed a break for quite some time, and this 3-day period seems to be the best time to take it since there's not much happening in the game right now. And so I was like, you know what, I should probably just take this time off to recharge my batteries a little bit. But anyway, without further ado, please enjoy the video. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Arks Trash. Today, I have special guest Skulls Nightshade with me. Skulls, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. I am Skulls Nightshade, as Keroppi just said. I am a PSO2 NGS player. I play on Ship 3. I'm a full-time streamer and a demon girl who just likes to have fun.
Heck
Sounds
yeah.
like a dating profile. Oh.
It kind of does, doesn't it? All right, perfect. The next thing I need to ask is, of course, did you start with Twitch or with YouTube? What do you do most of the time? You just stream or you do content creation? What's your jam?
Well, I definitely started with Twitch. I did YouTube forever ago, but my old channel got shut down, so I don't really count that. But as far as like this chapter for me, I started on Twitch about 7 years ago. So I started right after it was Justin TV when it first became Twitch. I also do YouTube, but I just recently started taking it more seriously. That was always where I would just post kind of like random ideas I had or like silly video ideas just to kind of see if they sink or swim in the YouTube universe.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So since you've been streaming for 7 years already, is there any funny stories that you could share about your channel growth and stuff like that?
Oh man, it's definitely grown a lot. Things have changed a lot on Twitch. That was kind of cool to see. I'm very happy about a lot of the changes on Twitch. And of course, there's some that I'm like, oh man, I wish that things kind of stayed the way that they were. I guess the not really funny thing I always say, especially to people starting off and they're like discouraged about not having big numbers. I had 0 viewers for like the first 3 months I streamed. So it's kind of, it's nice to have people who come back regularly now, starting from completely 0.
Oh my goodness. I actually, yeah. So what carried you through those 3 months with 0 viewers? Like, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, at first it was discouraging, but I think I kind of had to get that lesson in my head before we really had guides about streaming and tips and tricks. That you have to stray away from looking at the number, because at one point I was like, why am I doing this? But I really enjoyed it. So I was like, let me try it. I talk to myself and play games anyway. Let me just try to get better and listen to my own videos and things like that. So I definitely used that time to grow.
So actually, a couple weeks ago, I believe you did a uncapped subathon, and that ended up going for like 4 days, did it not? Like, tell me about that experience.
Oh man, that was crazy. I don't know what I expected. I started the timer at 24 hours, which is already pretty long for a stream. But I promised the community we would at least do a 24-hour stream. The subathon idea kind of came after. And I don't know, like, I wish I could just always subathon. Minus the like salesman pitch for my subs and constantly having crazy events go on, but just being online for that long and constantly creating memories and seeing people who pop in at different times of the day and even meeting new PSO creators that I didn't even know of because of the time that they were online. That was one hell of an experience. It was really fun.
Could you tell me, how did you mentally and physically prepare for a 4-day subathon?
Well, I feel like I was in the middle of what I prepared for. So I prepared for it kind of like not really being anything special and possibly being a day. I also prepared myself for it possibly being like a month, like some of the streamers I've been watching currently have had. So I just took time to really think about like what I was gonna do if it goes past this time, what I could do to keep my health, in good shape and things like that. I planned out meals a little bit, so it came with a lot of prep. I gave myself some time to prep it, and I think that was the most important thing because I have a tendency to just do events and just jump straight into it.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think most people are like that. They just kind of jump in head first.
Yeah, it took 2 weeks to prepare, so that was very helpful, and it turned out great. It turned out exactly how I wanted it.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. All right. So moving on, I want to talk about what happened to you recently. So could you explain what happened? How did you get COVID all of a sudden?
Oh goodness. So I had COVID before. It was either the beginning of last year or the end of 2020, and it sucked. I got it so bad that like I don't know, it was scary. I couldn't even move around. I was bedridden for days. It was horrible. But this time I got it because of a camping trip. So I went camping, the one outing I thought I could do and not get sick. And there was the one person we had to deal with when we were camping, the person we got the key to the like lodge area from, and they were sick. And then, ta-da!
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So the thing that boggles my mind is you had COVID already, right, before, and then you got it again this time.
Yeah.
So like, how does that work? Is that like, are they different strains or something, or?
I have no clue. I took an at-home test just for the safety of other people. I don't like going out when I'm sick anyway. And it told me I had COVID, but it doesn't really give any more details than that. I think it has to be another strain because not only have I had COVID before, I also am fully vaccinated, and I ended up getting it again. It does feel much different though. Other than the test saying COVID, I would have thought that I was sick with something completely different.
Yes, I heard like the new strain is currently, it kind of feels like the common cold. It's not as like crazy as the original one.
Yeah, for a minute. And then it hit me day 3. It just got really bad. Day 3 and 4 were the worst.
But still, you recovered really quick compared to like the first time. How long did it take you to recover?
Oh man, I was sick for like 2 weeks, like bedridden pretty much. It was really bad.
So something that I've always been curious about is how is your sense of taste and smell?
I think it's good. I don't know. I think it's good. I like cooking, so I really hope it's good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel anything different. The first time I had it, for like a few months, there were certain things I couldn't taste, like banana flavor. I couldn't taste banana flavor.
It just had no flavor when you tasted it?
Yeah, it just didn't. It's hard to explain. Like it tasted like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it just kind of tasted like nothing.
So you would just like taste the texture basically. It's like, oh yeah, this is a banana, but there's no flavor to it. Oh,
exactly.
snap.
Like I know it's a banana, but this doesn't taste like anything.
Oh, that's crazy. So where I am currently, we're in lockdown. We've been in lockdown for a month and a half. We're almost heading to 2 months now. And so I'm okay with being in lockdown because I'm scared shitless about COVID. The reason for this is because my entire profession, my entire day job revolves around me tasting wine. I'm a sommelier. And so the issue is if I lose my sense of taste and my sense of smell, I'm pretty much like useless in my field of expertise because I need to be able to taste wine and smell wine in order to, entertain my clients and educate them about like, oh, what is this wine? What are you supposed to taste? All this stuff. And if I can't do that, then, you know, I'm going to be out of a job. So I'm terrified of freaking COVID, because that was one of the side effects I heard, was you lose your sense of smell and taste. I was like, oh, I can't afford that.
Some people lose it not personally. They lose it permanently. So
yeah, that's
and I
what
guess
I
personally.
heard. Yeah, I heard that some people could actually lose it permanently, and I'm just like, holy crap. So I'm just like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna be a good boy and not take any risks at all. So I just haven't left the house. It's so long now.
I don't blame you. I never leave except for the grocery store, and then I left to go camping. Out of all things, to go camping, and I get sick. So a side note, what's your favorite wine?
My favorite wine?
Yes.
I prefer a nice Chardonnay for a white, but if we go for a red, I am a Cabernet Sauvignon type of guy.
Same here. That's my favorite.
What type of cab do you like? Do you like American cab or French cab or New World, like Chilean? Or
I would say Old World more than New World.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the New World's more on the sweet, like fruity side sometimes. And I'm not really a fan of that. I like the bitter, the like dry. Bitter taste.
Okay. Old World wine tends to be a little bit more on the dry side, on the more mature side of things.
Yeah.
Because it's very interesting, actually. You know, we're just gonna derail this entire podcast because I want to talk about this.
We're gonna talk about wine now.
You're gonna talk about wine now, but it's actually really interesting because of the way that marketing is handled. So if we look at the way that marketing is handled in the US, a lot of people like to promote younger wines. Ready-to-drink wines is what we call them. Because a lot of people who purchase wine in America, or just in New World in general, they want to drink the wine today. They're not collectors.
Yeah.
They're just wine consumers. And so they don't care about aging their wine in their wine cellar or whatever, because most of them don't have a wine cellar. How many people do you know have a wine cellar? Like, not many.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
So this is why fruity, sweet, ready-to-drink wines are much more common to be promoted and to be seen, because it's easy to make, and okay, maybe not easy to make, but you don't need to age it as long, and there's not as much risk because of the vintage itself or the year of the wine. But if we look at Europe, for example, if we look at France, it's very normal to age a wine for 10 years, 20 years before pulling it out and selling it on the market. It's very normal. And actually, I have a lot of clients and partners and friends that own vineyards in France. And the way that the vineyard economy works there is the first generation, when they buy the plot of land and they start planting the vineyard, it takes like 3 to 10 years before they can actually start producing proper wine with those grapes. And that is a really long time. By the time you bottled your wine and everything, then you got to age it. You got to age it in the cellar inside your barrels or inside your bottles for another, 5 to 10 years. So by the time you see your return on investment, it's 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line. So it's a huge investment. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, 90% of the vineyards don't make money until the second or third generation of the family. So so the grandfather invested into this vineyard, and then their grandson is the one that actually reaped the benefits from it. So it's a very family legacy oriented type of business. While compared to, the US, for example, you see a lot of bigger wineries in US. They've got like factories and labs and stuff like that, It's more about, we do insane marketing and the return on investment is quick and stuff like that. But, obviously this is a huge generalization. There are boutique wineries in America, especially in Napa as well as Oregon, There's some really, really nice boutique wineries there.
Yeah, I live in Oregon, actually. And that's so funny. When I was going camping, we passed by a few different vineyards and stuff like that were just like boutique areas like that. It was really nice. I wanted to try though, but...
For sure, for sure. Do you drink sake by any chance?
I do.
So did you know that there is such a thing called sparkling sake? Have you tried that before or heard of that?
No, I've never had that. I don't know why I didn't think that would be a thing, because they're sparkling wines, but I've never... Wow.
It's super interesting. You know, the first time I tried sparkling sake wasn't even in Japan. It was actually in London.
Yeah.
I was...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was in London with a friend. We went to this really fancy Japanese restaurant. And then they had this fancy, you know, the sommelier or I guess the sake master type of guy came over. It was like, oh, we've got this like, you know, sparkling sake. I was like, what the hell's that? Then we tried it. I was like, holy crap, this is actually really good. But the thing about carbonated alcohol is it's really easy to get drunk because it's carbonated. And the worst part, well, I mean, it's not worse, but the dangerous part about sake is its alcohol level is slightly higher than regular wine and beer and all of that. And so it's
usually like 16.
Exactly.
Somewhere around there.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So it's extremely easy to get drunk. But you're enjoying like the sparkling sake, and it's kind of, you know, it's just carbonated drinks in general are very easy to drink, right? So like, you know, champagne and stuff like that. I do recommend trying it at least, but just don't go overboard on it.
I have to look into this. Oh, okay. I know what my next drink will be.
Oh, nice.
Only in Arks trash.
Yeah, right. Arks trash. We're all alcoholics here. Oh my goodness. All right, so let's bring back the conversation to some PSO2. So I gotta ask, how long have you been playing PSO2? Like, have you played the base game or anything, or did you start an NGS?
So I started playing it like daily when NGS came out. I'm mainly an NGS player. I did make my account when the global release of base game happened. And I played a little bit, but I didn't really get into it. I was still kind of shopping around trying to find a new MMO to replace World of Warcraft for me. And yeah, I gave it a chance and I was like, no, I'll try something else. But when NGS came out, I was hooked. Day one.
Dang.
I was obsessed. And here we are.
So I need to ask, you sound like you have a history with MMOs. So like, did you start with World of Warcraft and then transition over to NGS immediately? Or were there other MMOs that you played before?
I've been all over the place. Like with World of Warcraft itself, I've played since Burning Crusade expansion, and I've been playing on and off. And then like I've played other stuff. I've played like Blade and Soul. Of course, I played like RuneScape. I've played a ton of MMOs.
I believe you told me you played a lot of Black Desert, right?
I did. I loved Black Desert, and my characters are gone.
Wait, did you not transfer them?
Nope.
Oh, nope. No.
I wasn't playing around that time, and I didn't check my email, and I saw it after, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh no, that's so unfortunate.
Outfits.
Yeah.
All my pets.
Sucks.
All my lifestyle skills.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Actually, yeah. I want to ask, if in BDO, did you spend money?
I did.
Did you spend a lot of money?
Not anywhere near as much as I've spent in PSO, but a good amount, a good chunk.
All right.
I was addicted to the outfits.
Fair enough. I want to talk a little bit about monetization in video games or in MMOs, because recently I've been going on a binge in Valorant. So I played a lot of Overwatch when that came out. Before that, I played a lot of Counter-Strike Global Offensive and Counter-Strike Source. So I really enjoy first-person shooters. But, you know, at the end of the day, when I'm back from work, I just want to chill and I just want to play like MMOs. So PSO2 fits this itch or this niche perfectly for me. But when I do want to try hard or I want something like engaging, I play a lot of Valorant. And what happened recently was, in 2 weeks of playing Valorant, I've spent more money on this game than the 3 years I played PSO2.
Wow. What? What do you mean? How?
Because I haven't spent any money on PSO2.
Oh. Oh, I forgot you're a free-to-play player.
Right? So, okay. I need to give some backstory to the viewers, and I need to give some backstory to you as well. Some context on why I am free-to-play on PSO2. So, I used to play a lot of Blade and Soul. My channel originated... Okay, it didn't originate, but my channel blew up because of Blade and Soul. That was my initial jump from like 100 subscribers to 10,000 subscribers. That was the first big jump, was because I did daily Blade and Soul content. Well, maybe not daily, but I did a lot of Blade and Soul content. And I was spending a lot of money on that game, because in order to keep up in Blade and Soul, you needed to spend a certain amount of money in order to gear up, in order to buy like the pay for convenience stuff and you know, all of that jazz, right? And so I was spending between $300 to $400 a month ish on Blade and Soul. And so at the very end of when I decided to quit Blade and Soul, I made a video on like, okay, how much money did I actually spend? And I spent like $4,000 or something on the game. And when I saw that I spent $4,000 on Blade and Soul, I was like, holy crap. Like, I have nothing to show for it. Like, I've spent 4,000 bucks. And now, like, if you were to install Blade and Soul today, you would get better gear than what I have right now for free. For just like playing through the story and stuff. And I was just like, why did I spend $4,000 on this game? And because I came to that realization, I was just like, no, never again. I'm done. So when I moved to PSO2, I gave myself the challenge or the restriction of like, I'm not going to spend any money. Unless it's money that, you know, I win from the art contest or the giveaways or whatever. Sure, I can spend that. But I'm done spending money on MMOs. But this doesn't apply to first-person shooters, because so this is a mental block for me. It's so stupid. It's when I'm playing a first-person shooter and I buy skins for my guns and I was like, oh man, this looks so cool, blah blah blah. Like, my brain tells me this is an investment because I'm buying a skin for the gun and I'm going to be using the skin for like a year or whatever. But it doesn't work like that, right? You use your new shiny toy for like 3 months, then the new skin comes out, and you're like, oh my god, that looks sick. And then you buy that.
I like this one better.
Right? And then the vicious cycle continues. But personally, I think it's worse in an MMO. Like in an MMO, for example, in PSO2, because fashion updates are so often, the new scratch tickets come in so often, that you're always tempted to spend money to buy the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And I can't handle that. I don't have the self-control to be like, no, I'm not gonna buy it. Which is why
it's hard.
I refuse to top up on PSO2. Because I know that the moment I top up the first time, it's gonna be like, it's just gonna be a natural reaction to top up a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time. And so I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna suffer like the rest of the free-to-play players, and I'm just gonna do that.
I was free-to-play probably the first 5 months. And yeah, it's just like how you said. As soon as you start, it's like, okay, oh, well, that was awesome. And then you get something good, and then you're just like, serotonin, yay. And you want to spend more. Or if you go premium, now I'm like, oh, well, I feel like I have to be premium now because I don't get this and this and that for not being premium. So that went from being like, oh, that would be cool one day to do just to check out, to like being a necessity now. In a free-to-play game, I gave myself a monthly bill, you know? So, you know what helped me stop spending money?
What?
Becoming a full-time streamer.
Hell yeah. We're bouncing all over the place, but tell me about your full-time streamer job. How is it?
Oh. It is fun. Streaming is definitely not one of those things like how people think you just get on and you're like, woo, look at him playing games and making money. Granted, I do have other ways that I monetize with like sponsored gameplay and things like that. But other than that, I really do enjoy it. It's peaceful. It's nice. My last job was very, very stressful and kind of pushed me into a mental breakdown. So doing this is definitely different.
Well, since we're on this topic, I want to dive a little bit deeper about streaming as well as content creation, because I've seen a lot of tweets as well as posts and comments and stuff like that, on like people just saying that, oh, you know, it's not that hard to do daily uploads, it's not that hard to stream and stuff like that. But when you're streaming, you're not just streaming yourself playing a video game, you're creating entertainment for your audience. I feel like there's this disconnect between like what people think streaming is and what streaming actually is, you know? Like, a lot of people don't understand that, oh, when you're streaming, you're not just playing the video game, you're interacting with your chat, you're creating engaging content for people to enjoy, right? So could you tell me about like the process of streaming, or at least your process?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I as a side note, I do agree. It's kind of hard, I guess, on the end of like the viewer to be able to be like, hey, this is actually like the work that goes behind this and that. But yeah, it is a lot harder than just being like, I'm gonna sit here and play some games. Now, sometimes it is like that. Sometimes I jump on for fun and I sit here and I play games. But as far as the process goes, though, for me, I spend about 6 hours a day streaming. And that doesn't include the 45 minutes it takes me to get my stuff set up and things like that. On top of that, I spend an incredible amount of time, probably another 6 hours, working on new ideas, working on like little entertainment factors I add. Like I have like the zooms on my stream where like I zoom in and things like that. I have like different things that pop up for my channel point redeems, things you can throw at me. Like all the things that I have, I always spend time fine tuning it. So it is very time consuming. And that's why I really wish I could make videos and stuff like that more often, but it's also another time consuming task. So
yeah, for sure. Like in a perfect world, what I feel like, at least a lot of bigger streamers that I see, they focus a lot on live streaming, but then they have a team of editors or something that just take their VODs and create additional content out of that for YouTube. And I feel like in a perfect world, that would be the ideal situation, right?
Yes.
You just focus on streaming, you focus on your personality, your chat, your engagement, and then you've got a team at the side which handles all of the editing, all of the YouTube side of things, making like your 6 hour stream into like 6 different videos or 6 different highlights or whatever.
Yeah.
And that would be absolutely perfect.
And I always wish I had that. Like if I could have anything, if it was like, if you could choose one thing, only one thing that you add to help you with your content, it would be someone editing videos for me, because that is very time consuming on its own. And I edit all of my own videos. I also like make all my own overlays and my effects and things like that. So all of that takes up pretty much a whole day. And it's unfortunate, but I can't fit all of that into a whole day. I wish you could do that though. That would be really cool.
Yeah, for sure. But then like I'm on the other side of the fence, right? I am YouTube only and I haven't done much streaming because, you know, obviously I have internet problems. But even if my internet was ideal and perfect, I feel like I would still remain a YouTuber and less of a streamer. And I think this is like a personality difference type of thing. I like to keep my private life private. When I create content, I like to create a complete piece and I just put it out there. I'm like, here's the content. It's fully edited. Everything's done. You know, it's short and sweet. I like to create content that is, you know, sort of to the point. Except for the podcast. The podcast, well, you know, it's a podcast. It's supposed to go on and random tangents. So
yeah, that's the charm.
Yeah, but as for live streaming, like I don't see myself having the energy to entertain people for that long. Like you said, you live stream for like 5 to 6 hours a day. That to me is insanity. Like, sure, I can record, but when I record a video, it's actually like, 1 to 2 hours at most. And then the editing process takes like, 4 to 5 or 6 or whatever hours, depending on how complicated the video is. But at least when I'm editing, I'm not like actively trying to entertain people. I find the entertainment part, it's fun. It's really fun. But to me, it's so emotionally and so physically taxing that after about like 2 hours, I am just physically drained. And I'm just like, I could keep streaming, but I'm just going to sound like a dead, monotoned whatever, and people aren't going to find that interesting. And so I just stop after 2 hours. I'm just like, oh, I'm tired. I'm done, guys. Bye. And I just send the viewers to somewhere else. Because
your streams are always pretty short.
Yeah, right? Because I can't. I don't have the energy. And like, I don't really understand how like you, GM Custom, Phantom Yosha, and Thrift Shopping, like you guys stream for so long. You guys go for like 5 to 8 hours, and then in your case you did your uncapped subathon. Like how do you find the energy and the ideas and like the inspiration to keep people entertained for that long? I don't understand.
Well, it's definitely something I feel like you either have to naturally be good at or used to, or you'd probably have to train yourself to do it. And I talk to myself when I play video games anyway. And then I grew up with brothers, so I used to have to make playing games amusing for them, because when I would babysit them, I wanted to play games, but then they'd be all over the place. So I'm like, hey, why don't you watch me play Sonic? And I would narrate and make it funny or goofy or whatever they like. So that's a part of why I do it. But I feel like I'm definitely better at doing longer content than just like shorter videos. I'm kind of trying to find my place as a YouTube creator right now. But as a streamer, I'm just like, oh, I can just talk and hang out with people. And I just feel like I like coming up with witty improv type of things normally. So I just kind of just do that all day.
Yeah. Like another thing that I envy a lot of streamers is your ability to multitask. Like whenever I stream myself doing like the geometric labyrinth, for example, I'm so focused on staying alive and just completing it that I don't really read the chat. I would glance over like once every 30 to 40 seconds, and like I would just read whatever the latest comment or message is and just reply to that. But the issue I've noticed is like when you've got people talking to you, like, I don't get insane views on Twitch because I don't stream often, right? But like when I have like 40 viewers, I'm already overwhelmed with chat. And literally chat is moving at like one message a minute or something. And I'm just like, oh my God, there's so many messages. What am I going to do? So then like, how do you guys do it? How do you guys read everyone's message, address, like reply to them, and focus on the game? What's going on there?
Well, I am great at multitasking. This is why every job I've ever had loves me and also gives me too much to do because I am amazing at multitasking. But I don't know, like you even just like reading the first message you see is you trying. So I don't see chat really having issues with that. Sometimes people get a little upset that their message is missed, but that's not the worst thing. It just comes with practice. It's kind of like how professional MOBA players, like people who play like League of Legends or Dota professionally, have to practice looking at the map every 10 seconds or whatever. That's kind of what you have to do with streaming. You just have to be like, okay, always be aware, like do this. Okay, you have a second to look over at your chat and see what's new. And I've like reread messages and stuff like that. And it's kind of embarrassing sometimes, but you just have to kind of like backtrack if you need to. Like no one's going to be super upset that you answered their message from 5 minutes ago, as long as it got answered.
Yeah. So like, do you actually like scroll up to see what the latest message was, like before you or the last read message for in your case, and then you just slowly answer them one at a time, or how do you do it?
Sometimes if I'm doing like a just chatting stream or something and I'm just hanging out, then yeah, I'll go back. But for the most part, I just kind of like keep the flow going, because, considering all the delays, especially if people are on mobile, that can make it a little more confusing when you go back a little too far. And you already, the delay's already bad between you and them. So yeah, if it gets too far back, then I'm like, okay, I'll just start here. And then if I saw I didn't reply to some people, I'll acknowledge them and be like, oh, by the way, hey, keroppi, hey, skulls, whatever. I saw you guys earlier. And then I'll just keep going.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Because I've been doing YouTube for quite some time. I think it was like 5 years so far. So for me, it's easy to just talk to myself because of how video creation works, right? Like when I'm recording a video about PSO2 for my daily content or whatever, I'm used to I have an idea, I have like a beginning and an end, and I've got stuff to fill in the middle. And so I just click record and I start talking. And, I do have a script at the side with like bullet points on like, oh, I need to talk about these specific points.
Yeah.
But, I just need to get to the end somehow. And that is easy for me because, just years of practice, I guess. But the way that I live stream, I treat it almost the same way as a regular video, where it's like, I would start the live stream with something in mind. I'm like, okay, today I'm going to be grinding PSE zones or PSE burst, or today I'm going to be grinding the geometric labyrinth. And then so when I'm grinding it, I would just kind of narrate what I'm doing because that's just kind of how I do things. Because, there's got to be moments in your case as well where it's like chat is just kind of quiet. You've just got a bunch of lurkers and they're just chilling and they're just vibing with you. But like,
all the time, lurker central.
Yeah. Like, what do you do to fill in the dead air? Do you just do what I just said, or do you have different strategy?
Pretty much the same thing you said. I mean, sometimes I keep like points of like things that I want to talk about. Like if we just had a headline and the next day I'm like, oh shoot, we didn't go in depth about the new weapons. I really want to talk about the new weapons. Then I'll keep like that, a bullet point of like certain things. But for the most part, I just kind of like go with the flow and, just talk to myself and kind of commentate on what's going on. Or sometimes I do like my own like little role play while I'm, fighting enemies. I'll be like super into it or something like that. But yeah, just something that I think they would find entertaining. I always think if I was watching it, what would I want to watch? And I kind of just try to make that happen.
Actually, you just mentioned the headline. So I want to talk about the headline since that just ended like last week. So what do you think of the NGS headline? Is there anything that stood out that you want to talk about?
I'm excited for the new area. I really, really am. But I want to see more 6-star weapons. I didn't think, okay, I know everyone's like, the new 6-stars look really cool, but I did not think that they looked that cool.
Like the design didn't look cool, or the potential, or what about it?
As far as like the design wise, I'm a design freak. I know that's not how you're supposed to play MMOs, but I'm like, this is pretty. I like it. This is the weapon I'm gonna use. But yeah, I mean, I'm just ready to get to the next chapter of PSO. I am really excited about the anniversary event though.
Before we jump into the anniversary event, I want to talk about how I don't think your approach is wrong about have a weapon needing to look cool other than just performance and stat wise. Like the weapon needs to look good and needs to look the part, right? To me personally, I don't really care about how the weapon looks because I have a weapon camo that I'll just slap on my katana weapon camo and everything will be fine. But like, for example, when the relic weapons were first, when people started finding out about the relic weapons, that was unique because first of all, they didn't announce any news about it and it was a super rare drop. But on top of that, the weapon itself looked badass. It looked really...
It does.
Yeah, it was just like, wow, it had that wow factor. And I feel like the Evil Eclipse weapons or the new 6-star weapons, which we can get for free, it looks basic. But the reason it looks basic is because it is the entry level to the levels to the 6-star rarity weapons. Like everyone's gonna get this one for free. But what a lot of people don't realize is when we got into Retem, how many 5-star weapons did we initially start with? We started with 4.
Yep.
Right? We had 4 different 5-star rarity weapons. And 3 of them were, you know, relatively easy to get, and 1 was the relic weapons, of course. And I feel like the 6-star rarity weapons are going to be very similar to that, where we go in, you're going to be able to get your first one for free. People might invest into it because they give you the arms refiners, they give you the materials, they give you all the stuff to upgrade it. And so people might use it, but they're going to very quickly realize that, yo, in the new combat zone, this different weapon drops. In the second combat zone, another weapon drops. And then, you know, we're gonna be comparing all the different potentials. Like this potential, the Evil Eclipse, is absolutely worthless on a Braver. Because as a Braver, I don't sidestep, I counter. Because when I counter, I deal damage. So there's no need for me to dodge. And, you know, I will only be using this weapon as a stat stick, simply because the damage is so high. But that's it. Let's say, you know, the other 2 weapons, maybe they give something more useful that actually affect, you know, my Braver gameplay.
Yeah, I'm excited to see like the next set of 6 stars. Like I really am. I think they're going to be cool looking because every rarity of the, like, as the weapons go up in rarity, they do look cooler and cooler. So I can't wait to see like the other stuff we haven't seen yet. But yeah, the ones that they showed so far, they just didn't really like do it for me. I feel like everyone was so excited and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Oh, and we get one. Great, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's because there's like several groups of people on how they approach PSO2. Because the way that NGS is designed, it's such a casual game that allows you to be super casual, allows you to go full fashionista, allows you to go full tryhard min-max. There's so many different ways to approach quote-unquote endgame in NGS. So it really depends on the player itself, right? So for example, if we'll take thrift shopping as an example. Thrift shopping is, you know, he's a math person. He's a min-max type of person. He does theoreticals and be like, okay, in theory, if we were to take the mathematical breakdown of this potential and all these numbers, you will go this. And there's like a very straight up answer, black and white. This is the best, this is the worst, these are the numbers, right? It's very easy to understand. And you know, for a lot of players, maybe that is how they approach the game. They're like, I want to be as powerful as physically possible in the game. I want to be the most min-max, da-di-da-di-da. Then there's like the mid-core players, which I personally consider myself to be in the mid-core players, where it's like, yeah, I play the game a lot. Yes, I'm addicted to the game. Yes, but I don't min-max to that extreme because I don't make enough meseta or I don't have whatever. And like, I'm a good balance between I like fashion and I like gear, but I kind of seesaw in between the two, and I don't have enough meseta to support both hobbies. And so I'm just kind of stuck in the middle. Then you've got the fashionistas, which are just like, yeah, screw gear, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna do the bare minimum, and
that's me.
And I just want all the fashion because fashion is gonna last forever. You know, gear, people are gonna outscale the gear, and you know, we're gonna get free gear from events and stuff like that. So they, you know, you just don't care about the gear, and you care only about fashion and like hairstyles and stuff, right?
I still use a Gothica rod.
Oh
because,
my god.
Yes, because it's a color variant Gothica rod, and I'm like, this is my baby. I love it. And everyone's like, why don't you get a better rod and use the weapon camo? I'm like, it's not a color variant. I cannot. It does not match my fashion.
Right? And so like, if we just look at just us three content creators, and we just compare Thrift, myself, and you've already got three very generalistic stereotypes, right? You've got the min-maxer, you've got the mid-core, and then you've got the casual or the fashionistas. And it's, you know, PSO2 or NGS is a lot more complicated than that. It's, you know, these three are just very big generalizations. You've got a lot more other people, which, you know, they do the role-playing stuff. There's a whole different community out there, which I just don't know much about. But because of that, when you're explaining and talking about Endgame in PSO2, there is so many different versions of Endgame depending on who you're talking to. So it's like, well, shit, you know, is it min-max Endgame, or like what's your Endgame, stuff like that, right?
But that's why I like that game though, because it all depends on my mood. Like recently I started kind of playing more with weapons and stuff like that. And then of course, once I saw the headline, I'm like, all right, not spending any more on weapons. But for the most part, you know, I could have bought like 5 relics by now. But instead I spent it on outfits and dances. So it depends on what I'm trying to do in the game. Like if I'm like, okay, yeah, I do want to be strong, then I can switch it up and save my Maceta for gear and stuff like that. And then, you know, like you said, like role playing, like if I'm like, all right, I want to role play, then I'll just like find a group of people and like hang out with them and role play. So I think that's what makes a game a good game, in my opinion. I know everyone has like different reasons for liking PSO or different MMOs, but I feel like the fact that we can all get on and do something completely different and completely enjoy ourselves in the game is great.
Yeah, I agree. There's actually something that I want to talk about regarding PSO, and it's the economy. Because at the end of the day, all of this content that we enjoy doing, all of these end games, all revolve around one thing, and that is Maceta. Right? Without Maceta, you can't get all the fashion that you want, unless of course you're spending real money, but that's, you know, we're gonna throw that out of the window. If you want min-max gear, you also need to spend a lot of Maceta or a lot of time. It's a trade-off there. And so, you know, at the end of the day, when you're spending time playing PSO2, it revolves around, okay, I'm gonna invest X amount of hours in order to make X amount of Maceta so that I can buy fashion or gear. And so something that I want to talk about or discuss more is, what type of content do you find enjoyable to make Maceta?
It just depends. Sometimes I just like farming combat zones and hoping I get lucky with a drop, because you know, you do make a little bit from the mobs and stuff like that, and that's like one of my favorite things. But I also like hunting dread enemies, like vet hunting, but I also don't, because I feel like recently I haven't been getting anything from it. When I used to, like I was making like 10 to 20 million a week just routing vets and stuff like that. And that's like not even playing super sweaty or hardcore. Like I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna play while I'm streaming, pretty chill, casual. We're just gonna route vets for a couple hours, and then I would make that much a week. But now I'm not making anything. Like I'm barely making a million some weeks because I'm not getting any drops. And I don't know if it's just bad luck, but that definitely makes it hard, especially when I'm kind of judging like how I feel about the economy in PSO.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I feel like this week and last week, so at the time of this recording, we are in between the lull period of the NGS headline and the first year anniversary event. We're stuck between those 2 weeks. And I feel like these 2 weeks have been the most painful 2 weeks ever for me, because there's zero motivation for me to farm or to do any content, because I'm just waiting for the first year anniversary to do combat zones, right? Like when that drops, I can do combat zones. I can get all those fancy stamps. I can get that Aina plush, that the Manon plush, and there's a whole bunch of other like cutesy things that I want, but it revolves around combat zones. So right now I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna take it easy. I'm just gonna wait until that comes out. Then I'm gonna go super hardcore on the combat zone farming. But like, what do I do now, right? And the worst part about the situation right now is everyone is in the same boat of like, we're just gonna wait until the anniversary event, and there's nothing to keep people interested, to be like, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that in order to make money, in order to gain whatever. And it's like I know they have the urgent quest thing like this week, right? They have that special buff where you have like 50% more potency and you deal like stupid huge damage. Like, yeah, that's fun, you know? I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I have a lot of fun like blasting through the bosses and dark balls and stuff in like 5 minutes. That feels cool, but like, you know, that's not enough to keep me coming back and to play. You know, I log in, I do my dailies, and it's like, oh, it's an urgent quest, cool. If there's no urgent quest when I'm logged in, I'm just like, whatever, I don't care. And Man, they need more. I feel like we need more avenues or more different types of content to do, which reward us with either cosmetic items or with star gems or with Meseta or some sort of resource that is actually valuable and useful that people will be willing to work towards. Like, an example would be, could you imagine if we can apply fixes onto our weapon and you can improve your fixa level based off X amount of material? I mean, I would see a lot of people being like, okay, I know it's going to take me 10 hours to get, this fixa 1 to a fixa 2, but at least I can see the progress and I can see, over time that eventually my non-fixa weapon eventually gets to a fixa 5, right? It give people a little bit more sense of progression, a sense of like a purpose. Right now, it's like, what do? We make money. And like, a good example is Raka Plays. Raka Plays on Ship 2 literally has like 1 billion Meseta right now.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Right? Like he was like, yeah, I think that was one of his goals. He was like, I'm going to keep playing. I'm going to farm Meseta, make all this money. And then he got to like 1 billion Meseta. And it's just like, okay, now what? And now he's just like lost all motivation to play PSO2. He's playing like a crap ton of Final Fantasy 14 now. And he's just like, yeah, just waiting for anniversary event, right? Because people have run out of things to do. They've achieved their goals. Like, I don't know, what goals do you have in this game?
I mean, I've pretty much gotten where I want to get. I think the next big goal would be, getting my BP as high as I could with another weapon. But again, I don't really want to invest in that right now, with the new weapons coming out. No, I definitely feel that. I feel like I've done everything I need to do, and it is making it a little difficult right now. And I never get burnt out on PSO. And I can't say this is exactly like a burnout. It's just when I get on, I find myself wandering around again. Not just because I'm like, oh, I'm distracted, I'm all over the place today, but like just because I don't know what I want to do. Because I want to do combat zones because I love doing combat zones. But like you said, when the event comes out, that's what I'm going to want to do. I know that's like my favorite place to get points is in combat zones. And I don't know, like, I don't think I have anything. Do you have anything you're like really trying to do right now?
I mean, right now, the only thing that I have left to do is to get Ninja Dash from the Geometric Labyrinth. But yeah, the drop rate for that is stupidly low, and it's a fool's errand, but I really don't care because it's something for me to do, right? So the thing that I love about PSO2, and I'm sure that you like it too, is the combat. Like, playing the Braver feels perfect. It fits exactly what I want. It's fast paced, you've got AoE, you've got countering, you've got engaging gameplay, where it's like, it rewards you for being good at the game. And so because of that, I am more incentivized to invest more and more time in getting better at the class. So this is like the technical aspects of just physically and mentally getting better at the class. But on top of that, there was the gearing aspect. But I finished the gearing when Dark Falls came out. So when the Dark Falls originally came out in February, I spent like 40 million getting all of my gear ironed out, and I'm good. I have exactly the build that I wanted. It's not min-max pure glass cannon. It's like a middle ground between tankiness and damage, and it fits my playstyle perfect. But after that, that's all the way back in February. We're in May right now. It's 3 months, and I haven't upgraded a single thing, right? I'm just like, well, there's nothing to upgrade. Like, my weapons, my armor, everything is done. And so the thing that I've been doing to distract myself and to find video ideas and stuff is just playing on other ships, right? Because when I play on a different ship, you're starting fresh, you got nothing there. And so I geared up 3 full characters on, ship 1, ship 2, and ship 4. And so this was how I extended the content so that I could, I can just keep myself busy, right? It's just busy work.
Yeah,
But
I'm actually doing the same. Not on those exact same ships. Ship 1 is coming soon, but I just got my alt on ship 2 to max level, and my BP is pretty decent. Now I'm working on ship 4, but that's kind of what I've been doing too. I'm like, okay, well, now that I don't have anything to do, maybe I'll make characters on other ships so I can play with other friends. I don't hate the downtime, but I would definitely love it more if there was more to do. If leveling was more fun, then I think I would enjoy having this downtime more too.
I feel like we need more to grind on. Like,
Yeah.
right? We just need something to... I need a sense of progression. Like, the relentless training thing was a great idea. It was like, okay, there's going to be this, you know, this super hard or whatever. There's going to be objectives for you to work towards. And I was like, all right, cool. You know, that gives us something to do, something to work towards. But the rewards were so lackluster that it was just like,
Yeah.
is it really worth doing it? Probably not. But I know a lot of people did it for completionist sake because they're just like, well,
Yeah.
budget, I got nothing else to do, right? But it got to the point where it's like, the second relentless training was exactly the same. The third one was exactly the same. And people are like, bro, is Sega even listening? You know, we
Yeah, they got me the first time, and I guess the first few times, and then after that I was like, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
I guess if I'm already like in the middle of an area where these enemies are, I'll just keep killing them or something. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, like I'm exactly in the same boat. I actually completed, like I got up to like 2-3 on the current relentless training solely from the geometric labyrinth. I didn't do combat, so I just farmed the geometric labyrinth. I was just like, why am I progressing through this? What is going on? I was just like, whatever, I'll just take it.
Speaking of better rewards, I think geometric lab, I mean, that goes without saying. I think everyone has the same feeling about geometric lab at this point. Other than the cosmetic items, I am not very happy with anything on there. I haven't gotten anything, and I've run it so many times.
Yeah, I agree. They need to take a page out of the base game with the divide quest, where it's like, listen, there's a weekly update or like a weekly scoring system, where it's like, if you get X amount of score for that week, you get a big payout. And with this payout, you get like, you know, you get tokens or you get whatever. And then you use these tokens, and then there's an event shop or an NPC or whatever, and you can exchange X amount of tokens for whatever the heck you want. Let's say you want the next wings or the next tail or whatever. Maybe you need 100 tokens for that. And every week, if you do, you know, let's say that you hit like 5 million points for the entire week, you know, not one run, but the entire week, you get, I don't know, you get 10 tokens or something. And then at least that means, you know, after, okay, maybe 10 tokens is a little bit too little because that'll take you 10 weeks. But, you know, make it like in a month, you can get any cosmetic item that you want because it costs whatever, right? But on top of the payout, every time you complete a run, you get, you know, 2 tokens, 5 tokens, whatever. And so that way,
nice.
When you're running the pyramid or the labyrinth, you're like, okay, I can see a number go up, and I know when this number hits X amount, I can exchange it for XYZ. You know, it gives people a sense of progression, a sense of purpose, other than like what I'm doing right now. I feel like I'm like the biggest idiot. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep running the labyrinth until I get this ninja dash, and then like, you know, ninja dash is like 0.001%, and it's just like, oh yeah, just keep going, man.
I think that's how we're all feeling right now.
Right? It's just so
like I'm thinking about just buying it at this point. I'm like, you know what? I might give in. I don't know. Because I want it too, but every time I run it, I'm like, all right, what do we get now? And it's just like, hey, you get a gold prim sword and some augments. And I'm like,
yeah.
hey, thanks. I could have ran around and done this in less time.
Exactly. Like there needs to be a substantial reward because like this content is considered the super hard content.
It was.
Yeah, I mean it is, right? With all the multipliers turned on, it is super hard content. But if you're doing the hardest content in the game, you need to be rewarded. The rewards need to reflect the difficulty of the content. It doesn't make sense that you're doing all of this super hard content and you're not getting rewarded. The amount of effort is not worth the rewards right now. It's imbalanced, which is why people are like, no, screw the geometric labyrinth. I get the S rank, I bounce, I'm done. I'm never gonna touch it again because it's not worth their time, right? It's like, why torture yourself on this if you're not getting anything good out of it, right? It just doesn't make sense. Ugh.
Oh yeah. If I didn't enjoy playing it with friends, and I guess because I've been sick, that was like a good block of time that I wasn't able to play, I think I'd be completely burnt out on it. And plus I didn't play it the first few days because I knew I would burn myself out. So I was like, I'll let everyone else play and kind of like scope and see what everyone else is doing, and then I'll play eventually.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's okay. We're almost at the anniversary event. We'll have stuff to do, and hopefully kind of goes back to feeling like we consistently get content for a while. Because I feel like they got really good about that for a bit, and then it just kind of stopped.
The big turning point for me, or the one that I'm going to be looking at pretty critically, is going to be the new region, right? In June, when that new region Kavaris comes out, like, they've had a year. They've had a year to work on it. There shouldn't be any real big excuses on, like, if the content's not enough or not good or whatever. Like, I'm going to be very, very critical on that.
Yeah, I just don't want it to be another, like, hey, you're just in a different place. It's icy here instead of sandy or, foresty. And then that's really it. Because, like, Retem's great. I love Retem. But there really wasn't a whole lot to it, especially with like how the story's kind of been for PSO, or at least for NGS. It's kind of been very like shallow, like it doesn't really have a whole lot going on to it. I hope that the new region kind of ties more together.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely hope that with Kavaris we get like a lore dump, we get more information, more side quests, side stories,
some stuff. Yes.
Yeah, we need more information about it. But on top of that, I'm also going to be very critical on gameplay loop. I want to see different gameplay loops. Like right now we have exploration zones, we have combat zones, we have the pyramid, we have the what do you call those?
Oh, the battle dia.
Yeah, the battle dias. There you go. Right, the battle dias. But that's it. Those are our 4 different gameplay loops. And sure, you might be like, oh yeah, there's 4. That's pretty good, right? And it's just like, oh yeah, okay. But people get bored of it really quickly. Like, I think you and me are the exceptions. We're like, we can sit in a combat zone for days on months, and we're just like, yeah, this is fine. But
the only things I don't like is like when I out level the combat zone by a lot. That gap between like, oh, we have like rank 2 or 3 added sometimes gets me. But other than that, I love combat zones. But yes, I agree. I would definitely like something more because we have all that everywhere. And it's not exactly copying pasting, but I kind of don't want it to be like a copy and paste just in a different area. It's like, oh, same concept, same thing, but like different enemies. That's cool. But maybe something else too. Maybe a different type of zone. Maybe a different type of combat thing that we have to do. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I definitely want something more, a different type of gameplay loop to keep people interested. Like, something that I've always wanted was a boss rush, but you could argue that, Battle Dia is a boss rush, it's 5 gigantics, you gotta kill them back to back to back. But I want one for like veterans, right? Because there's a lot of materials or a lot of capsules which you can only get in exploration zones. Deafness as well as dread keepers, and I'm just like, I need those capsules because that I need that to upgrade my gear. But I don't like exploration zones. Like I just don't like deafness farming. And for veteran hunts, it's okay, but like currently it sucks because you go to Central Retem, there's 4 veterans. Like, during the previous event, there was 8 veterans, and that was amazing. It was so cool, fun. Right? Like, sure, the drop rate was like, you know, I felt like the drop rate was nerfed, you know. I was just like, bro, I'm killing so many veterans. Where are my dread
definitely.
keepers?
We should have all been just billionaires.
Right? But like it didn't affect my morale that much because I was constantly killing stuff, right? I could go in there, there's a group of people, we're just like, all right, we're gonna go from point A to point B and we're just gonna loop this over and over and over. And by the time we get back to point A, that boss has spawned. So there's no downtime. So it felt so good to just keep killing enemies and looping and looping and looping. Versus right now with only 4, you kill all 4 and you sit there and you wait for 10 minutes.
They should have kept it like that. Honestly, I loved it like that.
Right? And oh man, like I can't do veteran farming right now. I feel like I'm wasting my time because you kill it and you're just like, well, do I room hop? But if I room hop, then, you know, it's going to complicate things. People don't know how to do it or whatever. And it's just like, I feel like it's a design flaw of some sort, like, you know, or an oversight. It's just,
I've definitely been avoiding that recently. It's something I do every once in a while, especially if I'm like, oh, you know what? I want to make some money in a couple hours. Let's, you know, do the loop. But now, no, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone else is doing it. Like, we had a hard time kind of keeping it together on ship 3 sometimes when it comes to keeping rooms. And I feel like we're back to doing that because we all got really good and there was always at least 1 or 2 rooms where people were looping them, but it's kind of back to being like, I guess some people might be doing it. I don't know. Like, you go out in Central and you're like, hey, is anyone vet hunting? And you just hear like crickets.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just too impatient and too monkey brain. I love the formula of the combat zones. I go in, I go into a room, it's like 1 out of 8 or however many people out of 8. And it's like, it's very easy to understand instructions. There are E's and there are T's, you kill them all and you just follow the symbols and you just,
And then PSE burst, yay, kill all that stuff too.
Exactly. You get the PSE burst, you get the rainbow RGB dopamine rush, and then enemies spawn everywhere around that RGB pillar. And you just kill everything, right? Like, that is the perfect gameplay loop for me. Because I'm just like, ooh, monkey brain, follow big light, kill stuff, beautiful.
Yeah,
and
it's fun, it's pretty.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that is perfect for me. The whole combat zone scenario is a perfect sense of gameplay loop. But, you know, it can't only be that. You know, you do that for a year, and anyone would get burnt out if you did that only for a year. And so, you know, the exploration zones, you've got your deafness farms, you've got your veteran farms and all of that, but it doesn't seem as refined as combat zones. Like, you go in there, and because it's a quote-unquote exploration zone, I felt like, you know, the developers wanted you to explore it, to do whatever you want and do different things. But what about the people that are specifically there to veteran hunt for Dreadkeeper 3s? Or specifically there to do, you know, their deafness farms and stuff like that. I feel like they should make like a separate room or a separate game mode or something where it's like, oh, if you need these, you should be running this type of content. And, you know, just make a separate room. You know, how we have all of the different rooms in a Central Ritem or Central Alia or whatever. You have like a specific one where it's like, oh yeah, this one is like a special variant of that map layout. It's like, instead of, maybe there are no tames in that map and there's only mobs, and you know, you have different criterias. Maybe you just follow the T's or something, like the different trials, like Trial Rush or something. At the end of 10 trials, you get a big boss battle, and then you do it again, and it's basically PSE burst but with trials.
Yes, that would be so good. I think that would be great. Yeah, they just need, they definitely are overdue for a new game mode. And hopefully whatever it is does not involve triggers. I don't want to farm for more triggers.
I just feel like we need a way to get the resources or the stuff that we want. We need a way to farm for the things that we want, but by doing the content that we like to do as well, right?
Exactly.
It shouldn't be locked behind specific content or specific things that maybe a player doesn't like to do. Like, I know a lot of players don't like combat zones, for example. But if you want a lot of meseta, or if you want specific weapons to drop, you have to do combat zones, right? And it just sucks for them because they're just like, oh, this is so monotonous. They don't like the grinding part and all of that. And, you know, I feel like players should have the freedom to do whatever they want and still progress in PSO2.
I totally agree. I feel like there's not enough to do in the game for it to kind of be like you're kind of forced to do certain things for certain drops. I mean, other than obviously like weapons and things like that. Like, I can understand more so with those, but definitely like things like augments and whatnot should drop easier in different places.
An example that I want to compare it with is, of course, Black Desert. Like, when I played Black Desert, I started as a PvE grinder. Back then it was like Blood Wolves. Blood Wolves was the spot to grind, and I grinded there forever. I grinded there for like 4 or 5 months straight.
Oh man, I used to love doing that.
Right?
Just PvE all alone.
Yeah, and for some reason I was fine with that. I was like, whatever. But eventually, I think like month 6 maybe, I was like, okay, I'm bored of this. And then I discovered life skilling. And I was like, what am I doing with my life? With life skilling, I could make so much more money than grinding. And I was just like, wow, I should just be life skilling. And I went into that rabbit hole where I just life skilled the crap out of the game for like 6 months.
Life skill for money. Go fight things in the wild to feel like a badass.
Right?
Go back to life skilling.
Exactly. So you had different gameplay loops that, you know, you could approach the game totally different. And the best part was they both made money, which allowed you to buy whatever you wanted. Like, you wanted gear, you wanted cosmetics, whatever. It didn't matter. You made a bunch of silver. And I was okay with that because it was like, okay, I can grind when I want to grind. When I'm sick of grinding, I would do life skilling. I would check up on my farms. I would do gathering. I'll do bartering. And like, each of these different modes or different life skills had like their whole different tree. Like bartering, I worked for like a month to make my stupid boat, my Etheria boat or whatever, and it was so dumb. It like, you know, it was fun, but it was so dumb. It was like, wow, I gotta cut down these trees in order to get wood. I need to get this sap. I need to get, and I was just like, oh my god, what am I doing with my life? But when I made the boat, I was like, oh shit, I did it. It took a month, but I did it.
It does take a while though.
Yeah, you know, I don't want PSO2 to go the extremes of BDO. Like, I want content like that where it's like you can approach the game however you want and you can still make money and progress. Sure, it might not be as efficient if you go a specific path, but it's still good, right? It's still viable.
Yeah, because I love the simplicity of NGS. And like you said, I don't want it to be like anywhere near as complicated as BDO is.
Yeah.
Because I like the fact that it's simple and it's hard to fall behind. And I feel like that was always a bad feeling in MMOs when I didn't play or didn't grind as much and I fall behind everyone and I'm like, oh man, you know. So I like that it's hard to fall behind, but more things to do. As much as people like to hang out in the game, and especially since the community role plays and things like that, I think there should be more things for us to do just kind of in our downtime. Or if we just want to get on and not fight anything, you know, or if we just don't want to like farm, but we want to play.
You know, could you imagine something like Mario Party? Like, they add in like a new like social aspect where it's like you can play board games or play whatever with your friends.
Oh my gosh, that would be so cool. That would be so cool. Right? Come to my personal quarters.
Yeah, like, you know, just add in
Mario
personal
Kart.
Quarters or add in like, you know, the whole snowboarding thing that they're adding in, right? With the Kavaris region. Like,
that looks really cool.
Imagine if every region had like different activities where it was like a mini game and you can do it as a community and play the mini game, and there's like a high score or there's like a scoring system or something. And so it would feel like, yo, we can all chill in the lobbies and or in the city and just chill there and chat. But there's also mini games for those who want to be, you know, they don't want to grind, but they still want the social aspect, but with something to do, right? Something more active.
And it'll keep some of those areas from dying too. That's what worries me is the dead cities. I'm actually really happy that they kind of ease us back into going to Alio, because I was like, is Alio just gonna die? Is Alio just gonna be gone? Is no one gonna care? But yeah, if they had things like that, you could be like, hey, on Tuesday we're gonna like meet up at this time, so we're all hanging out in Alio, and then we do whatever activity there, and then you know.
And then like, so I have this stupid idea, because I was watching Orihime recently. She was playing Final Fantasy 14, and there's fishing, and the fishing part is like you get on a boat and they go out to sea, and then they're fishing, and there's like a mini game and all this crazy stuff going on.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so I was thinking, yo, imagine that in NGS. Like, you know, we don't need to get on a boat and go anywhere and do anything crazy. But like, let's say that you go to West Alio and you start fishing there. And then like, after you fish a number of times, like as a server, maybe like 10,000 times or something, you know, there's a chance of a world boss spawning. You summon freaking Sin from Final Fantasy X, and you're just like, holy shit, what is this? It's a Dark Falls variant.
PSO? Wow.
Yeah, right.
I like this idea.
and then people gotta get together. You're like, yo, we gotta kill this thing. Go, go, go.
Yeah, that would be so great. Something like that would be amazing. Just watch the room like fill up with people. But
in an open field. So you've got like, you know, your 32-man crazy urgent quest thing going. And like, oh man. Like, I feel like that would be so cool.
That would be amazing. That's a great idea. Sega, you hearing this?
Yeah, Sega, please. Make these wacky, crazy ideas come true. All right. Well, I'm out of things to talk about here. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I do not. I am just very excited for the next event, and I'm excited for the new region, and eventually we get a new roadmap, since our roadmap that they gave us ends at like what, July? Something like that?
That's actually true. I didn't even realize that. Yeah,
it's going to come soon.
Oh, snap. Yeah, there better be Summoner.
They'll be like, next year.
Yeah, dude, so many people are gonna riot. If Summoner doesn't come out by the end, like with the introduction of the fourth region, or like the end of the third region, people will riot. Like, people get so mad if that doesn't happen. Holy cow. But jeez. Anyway, you know, we got to wrap up the podcast over here, so I'm gonna hand the floor over to you, Skulls, to do you know, shout outs, plugs, whatever. The floor is yours.
Okay, well, thank you for having me on your podcast. This is amazing. We had fun conversation about many things, mostly PSO. But you guys can check me out on Twitch. I stream Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time. My Twitch is twitch.tv/SkullsNightshade. I also do weekly NGS posts and random posts on my YouTube, so check that out. That's youtube.com/KawaiiSkulls. And yeah, I'm also on Twitter. My Twitter is also KawaiiSkulls, so you can find me there if you want to just see my nonsense or like alerts and stuff I retweet. But yes, it was wonderful. This was super fun.
All right, perfect. Thanks again. So I'm going to be putting all of her socials in the description below. So for the lazy people out there, you could just click on all the links and you'll be fine. So
that's probably easier.
So do make sure to follow and subscribe and all of that jazz on all of her socials. But yeah, that is it for today's episode of Arks Trash. Thank you again for joining me, Skulls.
Thanks for having me.
Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again. And that concludes another episode of Arks Trash. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe. And I'll see you guys in 3 days. Bye.
What can I say except you're welcome?